Good afternoon, everyone. So, today we'll be talking about UX strategy. UX strategy. UX strategy is one of the misunderstood concepts in today's UX. Um, First of all, we'll be looking at what is UX not. Okay, let's look at what we learned today. So we'll be looking at what is UX strategy. I'll be looking at James Levy model. Also, we'll be looking at pillars of strategic UX design. And also, we will be looking at how to create this UX strategy. So, what is UX strategy? When we say UX strategy, what is it? So, UX strategy, first of all, is not the same as UX design. It is not the same as UX design. I hope everyone can hear me. Okay,
Yes, we can.
it's not the same. Thank you. It's not the same as UX design. A lot of new designers think UX strategy is just about choosing the right layout or creating user flows. But that is only a part of the bigger picture. So UX focuses on execution, on the actual building of wireframes, interface, prototypes. But UX strategy is about direction. It's about thinking and planning before the design begins. So it's about why we are designing something, what goals we are trying to meet, and how we are aligning user needs with business outcomes. So let's look at what experts have to say, or what different companies have to say about UX strategy. So Mentors Mate says that UX strategy is the plan and approach for a digital product. So this means it is not just design, but the thinking behind how we'll solve user problems through the product. So according to Foolproof, our Foolproof says that UX strategy is a long-term plan to align every customer touch point with your vision for user experience. This also reminds us that user experience goes beyond the app, which includes email, support, website, everything the user interacts with. That is what UX strategy is. Then, according to Norman Sal, he says that UX strategy is an experience design process that plans, identifies, and underwrites the implementation of the necessary value a differentiator a brand needs to create sustainable competitive advantage. So when we look at this, this means that UX strategy helps our product stands out, not just by looking good, but by providing lasting value to users. Now, here is what I want you to remember. For this class, and for, well, as your career advances as a designer, I want you to understand UX strategy this way, that UX strategy is a document that covers entire analysis of the current situation and includes a high-level roadmap to achieving business goals. So let's break this down. So it is a document. That is the first part. It is a document. So when we say it is a document, it is not just an idea in your head, or it has to be written, it has to be a structured plan. Now, with this, it makes it easy for the whole team, which might include the designer, developers, project management, managers, stakeholders, to align and also stay focused. Now, when we say that covers detailed analysis of the current situation, So before you can plan where to go, first of all, you need to know where you are. So this means that when we look at users, their pain points, and what the data we've actually gotten says, and that is and how the product is performing, and what are the business goals. Now, if a user is quitting halfway through the sign up process, let's say for an example, um, that users, when they try to sign up, they quit halfway, then this is where strategies should come in and address what the problem is. So let's say for an example, we are building a learning platform, something like KodeCamp and also Coursera, Udemy. Then we notice that a lot of persons or a lot of users start the signed up process but quit halfway. And well, that is a red flag, and it's something a UX strategy needs to address. So let's say that the current signed up process looks like let's say step one, enter your name and email. Step two, create a password. Step three, verify with a code. Step four, fill out profile information. Then step six, choose your learning interest. So let's say that is the current sign up process that we have on the application we are currently trying to design or redesign. So this seems simple, the way we say step one, step two, step three, step four, step five. But looking at it, that is a lot of work for users. So, and most users are dropping off at step three, which is verify email with password. Let's say maybe the code never arrives on time, or maybe it is too much effort on users to actually navigate from the mobile, scrolling down to email before you come back the application has reload, and then going through that process, you can see users will now lose interest in the application. So now, as a UI strategist or UX strategist, what do I do? So a good UX strategist will not just spot the problem. You also try to offer possible solutions that align with user needs and the business goals. So if as a UX strategist, what I will recommend is that one, well, let's try integrating Google sign up or Apple ID into the application. So we'll see that many users will just love to sign up with just one click, and instead of going through the long form, filling and the rest of it. And so this is going to actually boost and then reduce the onboarding process. So this single change can actually affect the product, how users use or navigate the product. And so I might also recommend that users should explore a bit before creating an account. So maybe they only need to sign up when they are ready to enroll in the course. That way, the barrier is lowered and there are more invested by that time. So asking them to commit at that time to create an account at that time, well, they will be moved to because already they have seen what they wanted. So also, I might also suggest that instead of using an email verification, maybe we should use magic links. So what I mean by that is a link by which when once it is just sent to your email, when you click on it, you go, it now directs you to where you finish up the process instead of going, getting a code, then coming there, then filling it up. So with that, these few changes can make a very great difference or a big difference in how users are using the products. Now let's look at the part that says and includes a high level roadmap. So when we say a high level roadmap, this isn't just a step by step checklist, but this is where you outline the direction of the project. What are our priorities? What changes will you have the most, or what changes will have the most impact, and what does success look like, and how will we measure it? Well, don't forget to also measure our failures too, because that's what makes a good UX design. So when we say align with business goals, align with business goals. So UX strategy must support business outcomes. If the business want to increase retentions, then your strategy should focus on building user loyalty. If the business needs better conversions, then your strategy should simplify decision making for users. So also, good UX helps the business wins, and your strategy helps is how you help connect the dots. So let's say, for an example, let's say you're working on a learning app for a student. So if I'm thinking like a designer, I might say, let's redesign the course outline, or sorry, let's redesign the course cards to look more modern. But if I'm thinking as a strategist, I will say, oh, hold on. Students are dropping off after, let's say, after the second week, after the third week. Let's focus on features that can actually keep them engaged in the application or in the app. Now, so I can introduce features like progress trackers, tracking rewards or reminders. So with this, there's going to be so much difference. If we look at the first, as a designer, if we look at the first part, it is me thinking, let's change the cards. Changing the cards, well, that is decoration. But if we look at the other one, we are now making users want to use the application. We are now making users invest themselves and their time in the application. So let's look at why we need a UX strategy. Why do we need UX strategy? So we said technology is advancing rapidly, and so are users' habits. So a UX strategy will help you stay ahead of anticipating users' expectations and delivering experiences that truly engage. So when we say this, a strategy is going to help us plan for future needs, not just today. So it's going to allow us build products that aren't just useful, but delightful and forward thinking. So we say that a solid strategy helps cross-functional team together, ensuring consistency across touch points, features, and platform. So when we do this, we all need to be on the same direction. So a UX strategy is going to help us be on the same direction. The designers, the developers, the project managers, the stakeholders. So we are all going to be on the same direction. So this is when we need a clear UX, which is going to give everyone a clear vision and undefined vision that this is what users expect and this is what it should be. And this is going to make our products consistent. So imagine that you are designing with 4, 5, 10, 100 designers in the same board. Without a UX strategy, will be designing as we like. It will not be consistent. That is why most times if you enter a platform, you will see that this other button is rounded and this other button is not rounded. So when we do this, you see there is no consistency. But when we have a clear UX strategy, there is going to be consistency, and all design is going to be intentional across all devices. So we said, and the third one, that UX strategy provides a clear framework for tracking progress, measuring impact, and learning from both wins and failures. Remember, as I said earlier, when recording your impact, you have to also record your wins and you have to also record your failure. Now, without a clear strategy, teams may ship a product but it likely won't reach its full potential. Planning ensures your product is both intentional and impactful. So when we are doing UX strategy, you'll see that we'll design a product to its full potential. All right, a well-defined UX strategy reduces cost mistakes by guiding team with clarity from the start, saving time, effort, and resources. So when we have a well-defined UX strategy, we'll see that um, it will reduce and also help us identify problems early. And then this is going to help the team align and also going to help the team make smarter decisions from the start, which is going to save time and it's also going to save energy, resources, which is the money there. There is no client that will actually want to fake you on for you to make him spend unnecessarily. So also that great UX doesn't happen by chance. A strategy helps you create thoughtful experience that keeps user engaged and coming back. So if we want to create user satisfaction and loyalty, users don't actually just want products that functions. They want one that feels good to use. So a UX strategy is going to help us achieve this. It's going to help us create smooth, it's going to help us create a meaningful, satisfying experience that builds trust, that builds loyalty, that also is going to run for a long term. So we can say that UX strategy, that every design challenge is different. So a UX strategy helps you select the most effective tools, helps you select the most effective techniques and processes to get the job done. So when we follow this, we will find a sweet spot where business success and happiness that users will actually want to use the product because we've used the right products, we've used the right techniques, and it's going to be easier for us, the designers, that will stay focused on what the product is all about. Okay, UX strategy bridges the gap between what the business wants to achieve and what the user expects, delivering value on both sides. So when we follow this, we are going to bridge that gap between, we are going to bridge that gap and the users will get what they want. The company that got us that will also get what they want. So there'll be value at both sides. So next time when you hear the word strategy, don't tune out. It's not just a corporate talk. It's your compass as a designer. It is what ensures that your design don't just look good, but they work well and also they delight users and help move the business forward. So now let's take a moment to talk about one of the most influential model in UX strategy. So when we say UX strategy, this is Jamie Levy. It is one of the most published and well-known book when it comes to UX. When it comes to the world of UX, she's widely recognized for her work in this space of UX, and her book lays the foundation for how we think strategically about user experience. Now, she doesn't just present her own ideas, also she referenced several other strategists. She referenced other strategists and approaches, which makes our model quite comprehensive. But at the core of it, she distilled UX strategy into 4 tenets, which we are going to go through today. So she's the pillar of strategic UX design. We have business strategy, we have value innovation, we have validated user research, and then we have the last to be the killer UX. So let's look at the first one, business strategy. So when we say business strategy, this is when UX aligned with company vision and goals, and understanding the why behind the product and its competitive edge. So this is where everything starts. So UX isn't just about making things look pretty, making things work well. It has to tie back to the vision. It has to tie back to the goals of the company. Understanding the business context is critical. So the questions we should always ask is question we should always ask are, why does this product exist? What competitive advantage are we trying to achieve? So that is what this tenant, the business strategy, emphasizes. Now let's look at the second one, value innovation. So you said value innovation creates unique, cost-effective solutions that delivers real value to users and their business. This concept comes from the idea that we shouldn't have to choose between differentiation and cost efficiency. We should aim for both. So value innovation means finding that unique offering for users that also make business sense, that also makes business sense. Essentially, creating more value while minimizing cost. So think of it as the sweet spot between creativity and strategy. So let's look at the third one. The third one says validated user research. So it says this test assumptions early. Also use continuous feedback to ensure your solution solves real users' problem. So great ideas are only great if they solve real problems for real users. So that's where user research comes in. But Jamie Levy stressed validated research, meaning it is not just exploratory. It focuses on testing your assumptions and making sure your value proposition um, is actually in aligned with your audience. So it's about gathering feedback early and, as often say, stay on the right track. So the last point she mentioned was killer UX design. Killer UX design. This is deliver intrusive, functional, and delightful experience that brings everything together seamlessly. So finally, once we understand the business, then define the value and validate with users, we need to deliver a killer UX design. So we can say that UX design is not just visually impressive. So it means the product has to be intrusive, it has to be functional, it has to be delightful. It's all about applying best practices and then leveraging innovation and also ensuring that every touch point supports a seamless experience. So when we are thinking about UX strategy, don't just jump into wireframes or UI skits. Step back and ask yourself, are we aligning with the business? Are we offering something unique and valuable? Are we validating with users? And then are we executing that value through design? So with these four tenets, this should guide us in every decision we make. So let's look at how do we create this UX strategy? How do we create this UX strategy? So before you jump into designing anything, you need to pause and then understand exactly what you are working with. You can't solve problems you don't fully understand. So start by asking yourself, why did this client come to me? It's not just about designing a screen or making something look good. You need to invest time in understanding what problem brought them to you in the first place. What is the real issue they are trying to solve? So before building a solution, make sure you fully understand these four things. The four things could be what's the main idea of the product? What are its goals and objectives? What is the business model behind it? And what is the product core functionality? So let's look at the steps on how to create this UX strategy. So when building a product, sorry for the delay, I think my network is. So when building a product, first of all, evaluate the current state. So when we say evaluate the current state, this means analyzing how the product, service, or user experience is performing right now before you make any big decisions about changes or improvement. So you don't just go ahead in changing things. You need to understand, why am I going to change these things? What are the decisions behind these changes or this improvement? So in this phase, you should um, you should do these few things. So review the existing product. So go through the product like a user, and what is working, what is confusing, where are the users finding it hard to navigate. Sorry, gifts, where do you want me to take it again? You can unmute yourself, please.
Thank you, sir. Please start from how to create UX strategy, as in from the beginning.
Okay. So thank you. So the first step is to evaluate current state. That's what I said. So I said that this means analyzing how the product, the services or user experience is performing at the moment. So you don't just go ahead making decisions just like that. You need to know what are the changes. Now, and also what are the big decisions behind these changes or this improvement? Now, how is it going to affect the users? Is it going to affect them positively or negatively? So, excuse me. And one of the ways to go through it is by reviewing the existing product. So you have to go through the product like a user. You have to check what is working, what is not working, what is confusing to the users. Is the button where it's not supposed to be? Is the icon where it's not supposed to be? And from there, you can now start collecting data. So you look at this is where you now look at feedbacks, you now do usability test, or you now go into survey results. And the third thing to do in this stage is to identify pain points. So the questions you should be asking is, what are users complaining about? Where do they struggle or drop off while using the application or while using the website? And the fourth thing in this is understanding business goals. So the question you should be asking in this is, what does the business want to achieve with this product? Do they want to have more users, or do they want higher conversation? And with the last thing, it should be benchmarking. So this is where you compare with competitors or industry standards. Then you now look at, where does this product stand? How do I take it forward? How do I make it compete with the competitors? So, and also on this stage, you should be paying attention to it should pay attention to this phrase, to this. So you should be looking at common tasks that the business should solve. So also you should be looking at problems that you already know about, and you should be looking at what resources do they currently have, or what resources do you have. Is it time? Do you have the time? Do you have the team? Do you have the tools? And also, do you have the budget? So this phase is about building a strong foundation. So if you skip it, you risk solving the wrong problem. So, but if you get it right, then your UX strategy will be focused, practical, and impactful from the start. So now let's look at the step two. So now that we've evaluated where the product currently stands, so it is now time to look at what are we trying to achieve, and what will the experience feel for users when we get there. So that is basically what step two is all about: setting goals, the UX vision, and proof of concept. So first, we have to define what UX goal is. So we say that what does success really look like from the user's perspective? So your UX goal should align with both user needs, should align with the business objective, which is going to guide you in making meaningful design decisions. So you should always ask questions like, what should users be able to do better? What frustrations do we want to eliminate? And what kind of emotions or satisfaction do we want to create? And the second thing we look at is the UX vision. So think of UX vision to be as your North Star. So it is a powerful statement that points or that paints the big picture of the experience you want users to have in the future. It's not just what the product does, but how it feels to use it. So it is a big picture. How do you want it to be? So you should always be looking at questions. It could be creating the simplest and fastest travel booking experience. So it could also be building a platform where users feel completely in control of their finances. So this vision should inspire the team you are working with, and then it will also guide your design decisions, and then it will keep everyone aligned. It will keep everyone aligned, um, and even when challenges come. So it says here that UX vision inspires the team and keep efforts aligned. So even when challenges come in the future while trying to do a particular thing, you will now see that you'll be able to stay in control. You'll be able to stay in control, and nothing is going to move the team. I hope we can still hear me. Please, let's signify. You can use the chat. I hope you can still hear me. Okay, thank you. So let's look at the next one, proof of concept. Call it POC. So this means testing a small version of your idea to show that it actually works before investing tons of time and money. Tons of time and money. So once you have that vision, don't build the few projects yet. You have to test the idea first. So that is where proof of concept comes in. So an example of proof of concept could be a clickable prototype. It could be a small beta release. and also it could be a concept video or storyboard to communicate the idea. So the idea is to quickly validate that your vision is achievable and that users will actually like it. So the goal is to actually learn fast and fail smart. So if something is not working, then you want to know early before it gets too expensive to fix. Okay, so now let's look at the step 3. So now that we have known, we have set goals and also created a vision for the future. So the next step is to actually get a lesser focus, is actually to get lesser focused. So we can't solve anything, we can't solve everything at once. So we need to choose what matters most, and that is where the step 3 comes in. So we need to define the focus area and the strategy scope. So when we say focus area, so focus area are the key parts of the user experience or product you want to concentrate on doing your strategy work. So you can't fix everything at once. So you have to choose what matters the most. Okay, so you should always ask a question like, why do we need them? Okay, so this is a very focused area or the key parts of the product or the user experience you decide to concentrate on. So you should always ask questions like, why do we need them? Because trying to fix everything at once leads to chaos. And also because focus driven results. So we should choose focus area based on 3 things. So the 3 things should be user research, business priorities, and pain points. So example of this focus area could be improve onboarding for new users, could be enhancing mobile responsiveness, could be simplify the checkout process, could be boost accessibility for users with disabilities. It could be increasing engagement in community features. So we should always ask ourselves, what are users struggling with the most? What will bring the highest value if improved, and what align with business goals right now? So our focus area should be based on, I said this earlier, should be based on user experience, user research, should be based on business priorities, and also should be based on pain points discovered during current state evaluation. Don't just jump into things. Be sure first of what the situation is and how to solve it. So let's look at strategy scope. So when we say strategy scope, this means clearly stating the boundaries of your UX work. What's in and what's out. So this will ensure the team stay focused and doesn't get overwhelmed or distracted. So what matters in this will be, or this scope covers things like, which platform are we working on? Is it mobile app? Is it desktop site, or is it the boot? So it also focuses on, are we improving onboarding, or is it the checkbox, the checkout, or is it the account management? So what timeline and resources do you have? How much time? How much people do you have? And what's your budget for this particular project? And which team or departments are involved? So who do you need to be the part of this strategy? So you should always ask yourself in this phase, what are we trying to improve? What are we not tackling yet? And how deep will we go into redesigning an improvement? Are we going to spend so much on it? Are we going to spend less on it? Is it going to affect the business? Is it going to affect the users? So think of focus area as the target you are aiming at. And scope as the size of the battlefield. So both are needed to create realistic, effective UX strategy. So without focus, your team can get lost, and without scope, your strategy can become too vague or too ambitious. But with both in place, you have clarity, you have purpose, and a real chance of delivering meaningful change. So now that we have evaluated the current state, set goals and vision, and also narrowed it down to our focus area with a clear scope. So it is time for us to create something that will guide the entire team as they execute the strategy. And that is where we creating guidelines comes in. And that is where creating guidelines comes in. So we say that in UX strategy, creating guidelines means defining a set of rules, standard, and best practices that teams should follow to ensure a consistent, high quality user experience. So think of guidelines as your UX playbook. So the answers questions like what should our buttons look like? How should our forms behave? And what kind of tone should we use in our message? And how do we make sure our products work well for everyone, including, well, users with disabilities? So these guidelines will help us align design, content, and development team. It's going to help maintain consistency across platforms and touch points. And it's also going to help speed up decisions making by giving clear reference points. Now, without guidelines, every team members might interpret things differently, which will lead to inconsistent user experiences across the product. So guidelines make sure that the experience feels seamless, it feels familiar, and trustworthy, no matter where or how users interact, no matter how many designers are actually on the platform. So let's look at what should guidelines cover. So guidelines will cover things like visual design standards, which might include color, typography, spacing, iconography, UI components. So this will help the product look and feel like one cohesive brand. So even if multiple people are the one designing the screens, but when we have these guidelines, it is going to look like one cohesive brand. So we also have the second guidelines. What it should cover should be the interaction patterns. The interaction patterns. So this could be the navigation. So this could be buttons. This could be forms. So this, or let's say this could be error messages, modal transitions, could be sort. How do your sort look like in one page? How do your filter look like in the other page? So these patterns makes your product predictable and intrusive to use. So when we have the navigation in a certain page to be different and in another page to be different, so users will feel frustrated because they will, oh, this is what I expected this to be. But while going through it, it is not giving me what I want. So the third thing is going to be your content, tone, and voice. This is how you talk to users. So is your product formal? Is it friendly? Is it playful? Is it serious? So how do you talk to users during success, during errors model, during onboarding? So here your content is a part of your experience. So make sure it sounds consistent and clear. And we have accessibility requirements, making experience usable for all. The color contrast, don't use too much white on the background. When the background is white and you are using the color FFFFF, and then it will be too bright for users. Then you are using, for black, you are using the main black 0000. Well, it's, if you now look at how that the color tone interact, we will see that it's not making it the experience usable for all. So accessibility is not optional. It is a responsibility. So your product should be usable by all. For people that have color blindness, it should be usable for them. Okay, so we have the last to be brand principles. So how the UX should reflect the brand identity. You are designing for First Bank, but you are using purple. You are designing for KodeCamp. You can see our color is green and blue, lemon and blue. Then you are now using orange and indigo. When designing, you should make it what the brand is. What does this brand stand for? Your UX is one of the strongest expression of the company brand. Or let's take it, you are designing it for yourself, is a strongest expression of your brand. So make sure you show it. Okay, so remember that good guidelines don't just sit on a PDF, or don't just sit on a living table or on your book. So there are living documents that your team refers to daily and updates regularly as the product revolves. So the guidelines are the foundation for building a product that should not only be functional, but delightful and consistent. So now that we have done all the groundwork and we have covered the current state, we've defined a vision, we've identified focus area, and we've built out our guidelines. So now it's time for us to move on from strategy to action. And that is where we develop a plan. That's where UX plan comes in. So what does this develop a plan actually mean? So after setting goals, after focusing on some certain areas and creating guidelines, and so developing a plan means mapping out the specific steps, timelines, and resources needed to bring the UX strategy to life. So in UX strategy, developing a plan means taking all the great ideas and turning them into a step-by-step execution roadmap. So you are not just dreaming anymore. You are now preparing to build. You are now taking on your battle hammer. So these steps ensures that strategy, or this step that is developing a plan, ensures that strategy don't just sit in a document, but it actually becomes something real. So what questions should your plan answers? What questions should your plan answers? So a good UX plan should answer what tasks needs to happen. So who will handle each task? Who is responsible? When will each steps happen? And what tools or resources are needed? So think of this step like planning a road trip. You have picked your destination, which is the UX vision. Now you are plotting the steps or your stops. Now, who is driving? Who is responsible? So what routes are you to take and when to refuel? So this is what your UX, what your plan should actually answer. So A solid UX plan usually includes key milestone. So these are major checkpoints or goals along the way, like finished user research, launch prototype, or conduct usability test. So these are in you trying to create or design a product. These are the important checkpoints you need to note. So these are your key mail points. So this will help you keep track of progress and also keep the team motivated. So when you have like 10 milestone to achieve, and then you are ticking, and then you now saw that you have like three, you'll be like, oh yes, that you are almost there. So your team will be motivated to just finish it up and then move on. So the next step should be task breakdown, or it should include task breakdown. So this should have a detailed activity like research, wireframing, testing. So you need to list out all these major activities and break them down into smaller manageable tasks. So this will help avoid confusion and ensures that no steps is being overlooked. The third hold on. The third plan should be team roles and responsibility. Should be team roles and responsibility. Now, clearly define who is doing what. Assigned ownership, designers, researchers, developers, content writers, everyone should know their lane. But in KodeCamp, we train everyone to be designers. We train everyone to be researchers. We train everyone to actually be developers, to be content writers. So, but in most companies, what they do is they give out roles to each of the team. So, as a UI UX designer, as a product designer, so you should know what are my key responsibilities. You don't have to wait for someone to actually come and tell you. So, but if you are now the one leading the team, you need to state it clear to the team. Oh, this is what I want to do. So, let me use for an example. While I was learning UI UX in CodeCamp trained me, and in a project phase, what I did was I was opportune to be the team lead. So what I did was I shared out rules to my team. I said, okay, now do information architecture, you do the user story. Now this, and now most times I will just go in checking what they have done. Now, this is what you need to do. Give them responsibilities. Let them know where they are. So with this, you will now see there will be no overlaps, there will be no gaps, and everyone will be held accountable. So during that my time, what we did is like we finished things on time, because when once I see that the user flow or the user story for this flow is not ready, I know who to hold accountable, and they always make sure that they achieve their goals. They actually do what they were meant to do. So now another thing we should always look at is budget and resources allocation. Don't spend unnecessarily. So don't spend unnecessarily. What tools do you need? Are there any paid software that you are going to use? Are you going to involve external testers? Are you going to do any design subscription? So you also need to plan how much time your team will spend on each task. So time and money, as I said, time and money matters. So plan wisely. Don't spend unnecessarily. Okay, I noticed I skipped number 4, which is timeline and deadline, which is very important. So you have to include your start time, you include the deadline, you also include the dependencies. So what needs to be done first? how long will it take? So tools like projects, calendars, we have tools like I think the tool we use in KodeCamp is we have Trello, then we also have Linear. So we have a lot of tools that does this work. So when going through this stage, be sure you have timeline and deadline allocated. Don't just do things. Don't spend time doing things you're supposed to achieve in 2 weeks. Don't spend don't use 1 month in doing 1 week flow. So allocate time and deadline. So in most of the when we do most of the projects, we don't have um project managers, which is their work. So as designers, like I learned how to use Trello. I had to learn how to use Linear and the rest of the tools. So allocate time and deadline to your work. Is going to help you stay focused and is going to help you achieve your goals on time. I hope everyone is hearing me. Please, can we use the chat to respond? Okay, thank you. So, risk management, the last point. So, what might go wrong, and how do you handle it? What might go? Things are actually going to go wrong. Things will always go wrong. There are things you plan for, and there are things you do not plan for. So, what if? So, what if a developer leaves the team? So what are the backups? What if a designer leaves the team? How do you how do you handle that? So I worked on a particular project. We were two designers, and we were designing, we were going on. But in the process, one of the designer left, and they now called for a meeting, and there was a correction that needed to be done on his screen. So, and what if I will not like we did not have UX strategy in place? What if there was no guidelines? What if we did not have a plan, a solid UX plan? I wouldn't. Maybe I might go there and then decide to start redesigning or decide to do what I want to do because oh this does not feel right or the rest of the thing. So what is your backup when a designer is not there? So what if research participants doesn't show up? What do you have an extra? Let's say you are going to do a survey for 10 people. Are you just going to meet that 10 persons and then not meet like 15, 20 persons just in case they like five fail you out of the 10 that you were sure of? Then you now borrow from now collect from the other five, from the other 20 or from the other remaining five and then add up. So this will prevent delay and it also prevents you from panicking because when you panic, well, we don't know what is going to happen. We can end up deleting the Figma board and then running. You just go offline for a year. So without a plan, even the best strategy can fall apart. So a well thorough UX plan um, turns intention into execution. So it brings clarity, accountability, and momentum to the process. And it also ensures that your vision becomes a real working product that users love. So now that we have built a solid UX plan, well, good job there. So here is the thing. So how do we know it's actually that what we have built is actually working? So how do we prove our design efforts are making things better? So this is where we define metrics. So this is where metrics comes in. So when we say metrics, so what are these metrics in UX? So Once you have a plan, you need to decide how you will measure success. So defining metrics means choosing specific trackable indicators that shows whether the UX improvements are actually working. So these are measurable indicators that helps us track the impact of our design decisions. So it will help us answer questions like these big questions: are user happy or are they happier? So is the product easier to use? Now, are business goals being met? Are they met? So metrics are important because metrics gives us data, not just opinions. So they turn UX into something measurable, something we can analyze, report, something we can improve upon. So without metrics, we are just guessing. We are just guessing. So we have common UX metrics. So when you are doing UX metrics, you should always include task success rate. So this is the percentage of users who complete key actions. So this measures the percentage of users who have completely or successfully complete a specific task. So like the task could be signing up, the task could be uploading a document, or completing a checkout. Could be buying, it could be anything. It could be doing transactions, could be selling. And so a low success rate equals usability problems. A low success rate equals usability problems. So the second thing you should always have on your metrics is time on task. This is how long users take to complete something. How often do users make mistakes while using your product? Um, that's the error state. How often do users make mistakes while using your product? Now, error often shows that something in the design is confusing or something in the product is unclear. So it always have to include error state. Now, the fourth thing is user satisfaction score. User satisfaction score. So you can ask users to rate their experiences. So you can use tools like SUS, or you can use tools like CSAT. So SUS means System Usability Scale, and CSAT means Customer Satisfaction Score. So higher satisfaction will equals better UX. So when users are satisfied, then that means, well, you actually achieved it. So another thing that your UX metrics should always incorporate is Net Promoter Score, NPS. So how likely users are to recommend you? How likely users are to recommend you? So when users recommend applications, when they refer an applications, they refer a product, they refer a website, a project, or they refer you as a designer. So this is one of the things you should always have on your metrics: Net Promoter Score. So how likely are they ready to recommend you? Another thing you should always have is engagement metrics. So this includes how often users come back to use the app, how much time do they spend in the product, and what value or what features they use mostly. So what feature do they use mostly? Like let's take WhatsApp for an example. The features most of us use mostly is the message. We go there, we message a lot. We keep on taps with our family, our friends. So engagement metric should be one of the metrics that should be included in this phase. So conversion rates. So this tells you how much users actually complete a desired task, a desired action like signing up, subscribing, or purchasing. So these are the common UX metrics that should be included in this first. Now, so it says here that metrics shows if your UX efforts are delivering real improvement and guide future decisions. So remember, tackling metrics isn't just about numbers. It's about understanding behaviors, spotting patterns, and improving over time. So if your metrics aren't moving, something in the UX might not be working. And that is your signal to investigate. So I say our UX strategy isn't complete without measurement. So UX strategy isn't complete without measurement. So metrics close the feedback loops and makes your effort truly data driven. So what does this UX strategy really looks like on paper? Let's look at how do we actually sketch this UX strategy that we are talking about. Now let's look at, we have here on paper, challenges, vision, focus area, mission, activity areas, tips and measurement. So on challenges, so what are the business problems? What are the users' problems? What obstacle stands in the way of you and the product goals? And on the vision, so the question you should ask is, what ultimate goals do you want to achieve? And your focus area, what's the scope of the strategy and what falls outside the scope? And where will the strategy have greatest impact? And looking at the mission, how are you going to get there? How are you going to design it? How are you going to walk through it? And your activity area should be, what general activity areas is your team going to focus on? Is it prototyping? Is it wireframing? Is it information architecture? Is it user research and testing? What is it? Is it UI design? Is it UX design? And the rest. And the key measurement should be, what are you going to measure? And how will metrics be graded to define success? Now, so let's look at the takeaway. So UX strategy is goes beyond simply planning the work. It is more than just making a plan. So when people hear strategy, they often think of timelines, tasks, and deliverables. But in UX, strategy isn't just about project planning. It's about aligning the user experience with the larger business goals. That means thinking bigger than wireframes or UI screens. It's about how your product fits into user lives and how it's driven success for the company or for the business. Now, number two, a truly effective UX strategy must take a holistic view. So a good UX strategy doesn't just look at one part of the design process like research or UI design. It looks at everything. That is how user feels, how teams collaborate, what tools are used, how feedback loops are managed, and even how design is perceived by stakeholders. So you have to zoom out of this and then consider the full picture of how UX will actually influence the organization. So it says that beyond management projects or managing projects, it's essential to focus on effectively overseeing the UX function within your organization and actively working to improve your UX maturity. So it is not, it is also about managing and growing the UX and functions. So we could think of it as like a UX leader. We are tracking and improving our UX. Or sorry, the question you should be asking is: are we tracking and improving our UX processes? Are we helping the team grow in skills and confidence? Are we educating non-designers, which could be the developers, about the value of UX? A matured UX practice doesn't just happen by chance. It's built through intentional leadership and and advocacy. So, and the fourth one is that adopting a holistic UX strategy promotes long-term stability and supports team success and elevates your organization overall performance. So while it might look as if UX strategy or isn't working, it might be because maybe you are doing something wrong. So, but when you adopt an holistic UX strategy, it's going to help promote long-term stability and then support team successes. And well, it's going to also help the platform or the organization. So, a well-defined UX strategy brings clarity, direction, and alignment. So even if your goals are clear in your mind, documenting them turns vision into actions and keep the whole team on the same path. So while it might seem like all these efforts, from the first step to the second step to the last, the sixth step, that it only produces a document, well, don't underestimate its value. So a well defined UX strategy will provide clarity, will provide direction, and will provide that it will help align the designers or the team in how it should be. What are the goals? So no matter how clear the goals might seem in your head, a documented strategy helps translate that vision into actionable steps for everyone involved. So there is this familiar saying: a shorter pencil is better than a longer memory. So in other words, writing down things, even the most obvious goals, ensures consistency, it ensures alignment and accountability. So we can say that a well-documented UX strategy serve as that reliable reference point. It will keep the team grounded and focused as they work towards a common objective. So without a clear destination, your UX can easily feel lost. Let's look at the movie. I don't know how many of us have watched the movie Alice in Wonderland. It's a very common movie. So if we don't have a clear destination, we might be like the Alice in Wonderland. So the idea of you can get anywhere if you walk long enough um, isn't isn't practical isn't practically enough. Is not practical enough. So your organization, well, like Alice, needs a defined destination before you can move forward with purpose. So imagine you are redesigning an e-learning platform, a project-based mindset would focus only on UI, and then they'll be trying to fix broken features and the rest. But a UX strategy mindset would ask, uh, how do users actually use this product across different stages? What are the common frustration, and what do we support, and how do we support learning outcome over time? So, and how do we make design a core part of the company's decision making? So that's the kind of thinking we want to develop. So we've talked about a very important tools that help us evaluate a company, that help us evaluate a product, that help us in design, which is UX strategy. So we have the resources here. I think I'm going to make the slide available for us. So we've come to the end of the class. Do we have any question? Do we have any question? Please, you can do that by raise of hand. Okay, go ahead, Theophilus.
All right. Thank you very much, sir, for this particular training. Okay, the question I wanted to ask is concerning this particular UX strategy. I was seeing that it's possible that there's an overlap between some of the steps or some of the things that is involved in this strategy that is also covered in the PROD that is developed by, that's a product requirement document developed by the product manager. That is there an overlap, or is it that sometimes the UX designer can act as a product manager, or they are both to work together and each of them will now develop their own separate document? Then also, secondly, for the metrics, how do we actually measure those metrics, each of those different metrics? Is there a particular tool that is used to measure them, or there are several different tools for measurements?
Okay, thank you. So answering your first one. So most times when a project manager gives us a document, personally, what I do is I look at the document, what are there and what isn't. Then we now have a meeting and then look at it together so that everyone in the team will be aligned, or everyone with the team will. That's where we are talking about setting clear goals. So you should be able to know, oh, what is this? What are we going to achieve on this product? Or why did the client actually come to us? So with knowing this, and what do the client actually want to achieve? So knowing this, we'll be able to set a clear goal that both designer and the project managers are going to have on the product requirements document. So what I recommend is when you've been given a document, try meet up with the project manager, whosoever, or then try to find out what is your approach? Why did you approach it this way? Okay, why did you make these decisions? And with that, both of you are now going to be on the same page. Now about UX metrics. UX metrics does not have a it does not have a template. So you can measure it when you know this, what are the core functionalities, what should be in this metrics. So what should be, are you measuring usability metrics? Are you measuring engagement metrics? Are you measuring satisfaction metrics? Are you measuring behavior metrics? What metrics are you actually collecting? So, and also there is a framework for it. It's called HEART. The framework is HEART, meaning happiness, that's the H. Then the E means engagement, the A means adoption, the R means retention, and then the T there means tax success. I think yes, that should be it. So HEART. So this is a framework actually by Google. Google owns this framework. You can also adopt that framework when you want to measure your UX metrics. So I hope that answers your question, Theophilus.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
No problem. You can check the resources. I think when I share it, you are going to see on the resources there is a link there that has the Google framework. That's the HEART. So, all right. Any other question? So we talked about this lady, Jamie Levy. So the book that she has written, I'm going to see how, I've been trying within the week to see how I can get the book, but I think I will get it by today. I'll share it to the group so that we can have access to it. It is a must read for all designers. If you're a designer, yes, you have to read UX Strategy by Jamie Levy. So now, okay, gifts. Yes, I will do that immediately after the class. You'll get it. All right. Is there any other question? Okay. In the absence of questions, we have come to the end of today's class. Make sure that your tax, for those, I don't know, there are some persons that are still left without, they have not submitted their tax. Whosoever those are, make sure you submit. If you have any challenges, that is why we have the group chat. Drop a chat there. Tell us what your challenge are or what your challenges are. Someone will reach out to you. And if I'm not available, yes, someone will reach out to you. So we've come to the end of today's class. A tax will be dropped. When it is being dropped, you'll be notified. So thank you very much. Do have a wonderful day ahead.